Today we're taking a deep dive into this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's supposed to have helped tons of people become financially successful. And it's not just any self-help book either. I mean, you even gave me an article summarizing its 10 key lessons, plus actual excerpts from the book itself.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy to think that this book, it claims to hold like the actual secret to getting rich, and it came from, well, the mind of a steel tycoon, Andrew Carnegie, plus insights from over 500 other wealthy people.
So true. And the book starts off with a bang talking about this thing called burning desire. Hill says it's like the most important principle for getting anything you want in life.
Yeah.
Especially wealth.
Right.
He even brings up the origin story of Coca-Cola to show what he means.
Yeah. It's wild how the idea for Coca-Cola, as we know it like today, started as just one thought, someone's imagination and their burning desire to, bring that vision to life.
It's amazing. And speaking of bringing visions to life, there's this really interesting story Hill tells about a guy named Dr. Gonzalez. So he had this dream of building his perfect college, but he didn't have the money for it.
Right.
Well, he decided, like a definite decision, that he was going to get that $1 million he needed.
And get this.
Whoa.
Hill says that within 36 hours, the money just appeared.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The story really shows how powerful it can be to transform, like just wanting something, desire into actually having it.
That's incredible. So, okay, we have this burning desire, but then how do we actually get what we want? How do we bridge that gap?
Well, Hill says the key is unwavering belief. And he uses a really personal example to show this. He talks about his own son.
Okay.
His son was born without ears.
Oh, wow.
But Hill, he never wavered. He always believed his son would be able to hear.
So I'm guessing this story has a happy ending.
It does. Hill's son was able to overcome what seemed like, a real physical limitation. He eventually learned to hear through the power of autosuggestion. Basically, Hill convinced his son's subconscious mind that he could hear.
So it's like the power of belief can actually change our reality.
Totally. Our minds are super powerful, but sometimes to do something really big like building a business, you need more than just yourself.
Right.
That's where this mastermind principle comes in.
What's that?
It's about using the power of a bunch of people, like all their minds working together towards one goal. Imagine like a dream team, but for success.
Ooh, I like it.
You know Henry Ford.
Well,
super smart guy, right. But he wasn't like an engineering genius all by himself.
yeah.
He made alliances, with other really bright people. It's like being around successful people breeds more success.
So it's not just about who you know, it's who you work with.
Totally.
Now, here's something kind of unexpected for a book about wealth.
Uh-huh.
The next principle is sex transmutation.
Yeah. This one always gets people talking. But Hill handles it pretty delicately. He focuses on how strong sexual energy can be, but like in a creative way, if you know how to use it right.
So instead of letting it consume you, you like redirect that energy to achieve your goals.
Exactly. He observed that tons of high achievers have like a lot sexual energy.
Really?
But instead of, they take that energy and put it towards their ambitions.
So it's like using that drive, but for your dreams.
Exactly.
Okay, now on to something that sounds almost, a bit mystical, the sixth sense.
Right. So Hill describes this as the ability to tap into, he calls it infinite intelligence. It's basically like getting guidance and insight, but from beyond, like our normal senses.
That sounds pretty far out. Did he actually say how we can access this sixth sense?
He did. He talks about making this thing called an invisible council in his mind. It was like a group of historical figures like Emerson, Lincoln, Darwin.
Oh, wow.
He'd like have meetings with them in his head, seeking their wisdom and using their influence to improve his character.
That's so cool. So he's like having brainstorming sessions with some of the smartest people ever.
Exactly.
This sixth sense thing is so interesting. But let's get back down to earth for a second. Like, achieving anything worthwhile is never easy. There's always roadblocks. Hill talks about that too, right?
Definitely. He has a whole chapter on conquering fear.
Okay.
He said there are 6 basic fears that hold people back.
What are they?
Fear of poverty, criticism, illness, losing love, getting old, and even death.
Those are some pretty big ones.
Yeah. He argues that these fears can stop us from doing anything. They can limit our potential. We have to understand them to get over them.
So it's like, instead of letting fear be in charge, we have to face it and push past it.
Exactly. And that leads us to the idea of being persistent and taking real action. Hill tells this inspiring story about Fannie Hurst. She was rejected for years before finding success on Broadway, but she never gave up. She kept going, and in the end, that's what led to her breakthrough.
So sometimes you have to play the long game. You can't give up at the first hurdle.
You got it. Hill makes it clear. It's not enough to just wish for stuff. You have to make plans and take action. That's how you go from dreaming to doing.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've covered quite a bit, like the foundation, burning desire, believing in yourself, and then the power of the mastermind. Then there's the whole sex transmutation thing, which is pretty wild. And then the mysterious sixth sense. And finally, conquering those fears and taking persistent action. But there's so much more to uncover, right?
Oh, yeah. Hill goes deeper into things like autosuggestion and the power of our subconscious minds. He talks about how to organize your thoughts and develop a winning mindset.
It's like this deep dive is becoming a journey into like the millionaire mindset. Hill's ideas still feel relevant even today.
They do.
I'm definitely ready to keep exploring all this. Stay tuned as we continue our journey to unlock your hidden potential.
Let's do it. Okay, so let's pick up where we left off. Let's dig into one of the more, well, maybe misunderstood ideas in this book, autosuggestion.
It does sound kind of like, I don't know, self-hypnosis or something. What did Hill really mean by it?
Basically, it's like this. You repeatedly feed your subconscious mind with positive stuff. Affirmations, beliefs,
Okay.
Hill believed that if you consciously choose what you think about, you can actually change your subconscious. And then that can change your actions and your results.
So if I keep telling myself I'm going to be successful, it'll actually happen.
Well, it's not quite that easy. It's not just saying words over and over. It's more about building really strong beliefs. See, the subconscious mind, it takes action based on the main thoughts you give it.
Right.
So if you're always thinking negative thoughts full of doubt and fear, you're going to feel those things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if you can build up this deep, unshakable belief that you can reach your goals, that's when things start to change.
It's like retraining your brain for success.
Exactly. And that leads us to another big principle, the power of your subconscious mind. Hill describes it as this fertile garden, and your thoughts are like the seeds you plant in it. Whatever you plant is what's going to grow.
I love that. So it all connects. You have this burning desire, you believe you can achieve it, and then you use autosuggestion to really plant that desire into your subconscious mind.
Right. You're building this blueprint for success from the ground up. But to make that blueprint real, you need a plan.
So it's not enough to just have a dream. You need a roadmap.
Totally. Hill has a whole chapter on this. He's big on turning desires into concrete plans and then taking action. He even says, how to make a mastermind group and use everyone's knowledge to make those plans even better.
I can see how that would be helpful. It sounds really strategic. So, okay, you have the plan, but what about all the knowledge you need to be successful? Did Hill have any advice on that?
Yeah, he did. He thought general knowledge was important, but he really believed that it's specialized knowledge that's key. The knowledge about your specific goals and how to achieve them, that's what makes the difference.
So it's not enough to just know a little bit about a lot of things.
Right. You need to become an expert in your area. He even said that experience, learning by doing, is sometimes better than knowledge from, books or school.
So it's about honing your skills and becoming a master of your craft.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. But where does imagination fit into all of this?
That's a great question. Hill actually talks about two kinds of imagination. There's the kind where you take existing ideas and rearrange them. He calls that synthetic.
Okay.
And then there's creative imagination, which is where brand new ideas come from. He thinks both are super important for success. It lets you tap into your creative side and come up with cool solutions.
So you're not just following what everyone else is doing, you're creating your own path.
Exactly. And Hill says imagination isn't just for artists and inventors, it's for anyone who wants to achieve big things. He even thought imagination was how we access that infinite intelligence we were talking about before, the source of all knowledge.
Wow. So imagination is key to tapping into that higher power.
He thought so.
That's pretty amazing. Okay, so aside from imagination, what other qualities did Hill think were important for success?
He was really big on decisiveness. He thought procrastination was the enemy of getting things done.
Yeah, no kidding.
He said that being able to make decisions quickly and sticking to them, that's what successful people do.
It's true. It's easy to get stuck when you can't make up your mind.
Right. Hill used the example of Samuel Adams and John Hancock back in the American Revolution.
Mm.
They were willing to make bold choices, even when it was dangerous, and that helped them, change history.
So taking action, even if there's risk involved, can really pay off. But deciding to do something is one thing. Actually following through, especially when things get tough, that's another.
Absolutely, and that's where persistence comes in. Hill calls it the thing that makes you believe. Like the more you keep going, the stronger your belief gets.
So it's not just about willpower. It's about building that faith in yourself.
You got it. Remember Fannie Hurst? We talked about her earlier.
Yeah, the playwright.
She got rejected so many times, but she never gave up on her goals. And all that persistence, that's what finally led to her success.
Her story is really inspiring. It shows that you have to be in it for the long haul. You can't expect things to happen overnight.
You can't. But Hill also said that real power comes from organized effort, which brings us back to the mastermind.
It's interesting how he keeps coming back to that idea. It seems like it's super important to him.
It is. He thought that a group of people working together towards the same goal, that's where the magic happens. He compared it to batteries.
Oh, batteries.
Yeah. Like a bunch of batteries connected together are way more powerful than just one battery on its own.
So it's about using the energy of the group to achieve more than you could by yourself.
Precisely. And Hill even gives steps on how to make a mastermind group that works. Things like making sure everyone's on the same page, that they have a shared purpose, and that they meet regularly.
That sounds like a great way to make progress faster on any goal, really. But as we've been talking about, success isn't just about the outside stuff. It's about your mindset, too. Which brings us back to, well, sex transmutation. Yeah, I'm still curious about this one. How does sex energy, help you create wealth?
Hill was careful with this topic. He focused on how strong sexual energy is and how it can be used for more than just, physical stuff.
So it's not about ignoring it, but about redirecting it towards, your creative goals.
Exactly. He thought that using this energy in a different way is what helps people achieve amazing things. He even saw that a lot of high achievers have, a strong sex drive. There's a connection between that energy and creativity.
That's pretty interesting. But I can see how this idea could be misunderstood.
For sure. It's important to remember that Hill wasn't saying people should be reckless or, anything like that. He was saying that sexual energy is powerful. And if you learn to use it the right way, it can help you do incredible things.
So it's about being in control of your desires, not letting them control you.
You got it. And that idea of being in control, it comes up a lot in Think and Grow Rich. It connects all of these principles we've been talking about, but there's one last principle we need to talk about. Hill says it's the most important one. The sixth sense.
Yes. The door to the temple of wisdom.
That's the one. Hill said the sixth sense is the ability to tap into that infinite intelligence. It's like getting guidance and inspiration that goes beyond what we can see, hear, touch, taste, or smell.
That sounds really mysterious. Did he say how someone could develop their sixth sense?
He did. He thought you could develop it by using all the other principles we've been talking about. It's what you achieve after you've been on this whole journey of self-discovery and mastering yourself. He even said he would make this invisible council in his mind.
We talked about that before, right? With the historical figures.
Yeah. He'd ask them for wisdom and guidance.
So it's like developing a really strong intuition.
Exactly. And Hill believed that this intuition is what helps people see opportunities, avoid danger, and ultimately, be incredibly successful.
It makes you think about all those successful people who always seem to be in the right place at the right time. It's like they have some secret knowledge.
That's exactly what Hill was talking about. And he says that anyone can access this secret knowledge. You just have to work on developing the principles he talks about in the book.
That's really powerful. So anyone can learn to use their sixth sense.
That's what he believed. And it's a message that's inspired millions of people.
We've covered so much in this deep dive. It's amazing. We've gone from burning desire to the sixth sense. All these principles that can help you achieve success in anything.
It's true.
And even though some of his ideas might sound a little out there, there's no question that they've had a huge impact on people. Right. Hill really emphasized how important your mindset is. He was clear that success isn't just about luck. It's about what you believe, the habits you have, and how you think.
Exactly. And that's still true today.
This deep dive has given me so much to think about. And I feel like we've just scratched the surface of all the stuff in Think and Grow Rich.
We have. And there's one more really important principle we haven't gotten to yet. Fear.
Right. He also said that fear is one of the biggest things stopping people from succeeding.
He did. But he also explains how to understand it and overcome it.
Well, I'm ready to face those fears. Stay tuned as we learn about Hill's strategies for conquering fear and unleashing your full potential. All right, let's do this. Time to tackle those fears. So we're going to dive into Hill's strategies for conquering fear. He saw it as like this huge roadblock on the path to success.
Right, and it's interesting how he approaches it. It's not about pretending fear doesn't exist.
Right.
It's more about, understanding it, getting a handle on it.
So it's not like we become fearless, we just learn to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. He lays out these 6 basic fears that, honestly, most people struggle with.
Really, we got to know the enemy.
Fear of, poverty,
Okay, makes sense.
criticism, illness, losing love, getting old, and then, of course, death. He breaks each one down, like where it comes from and how it can really mess you up.
So it's like he's giving us this psychological insight into our anxieties.
Yeah, totally. Take the fear of poverty, for example. Hill says it comes from way back, our evolutionary past,
Okay.
when resources were scarce, so we hoarded stuff. It was instinct.
Right, survival.
But now that fear, it can make us afraid to take risks. Like we cling to what we know, even if it's not good for us anymore.
So we got to recognize that these fears, even though they were helpful once, now they might be holding us back.
Exactly.
What about the fear of criticism? I mean, everyone wants to be liked.
Oh, absolutely. Hill calls it a thief. Steals your initiative, your creativity, your self-reliance. It's like we crave approval so much that we conform. We do what society expects.
I get that. We want to fit in. But then we lose ourselves.
Yeah, we lose our individuality. Hill says if you want to truly succeed, you got to break free from what other people think. Find your own inner voice, trust your own judgment, even if people criticize you.
That's easier said than done, though.
It takes real courage.
Okay, how about the fear of illness? I mean, that's a legitimate fear, isn't it?
Of course it is. Hill isn't saying to ignore real threats, but he says don't dwell on the negative stuff.
Yeah, it's about focusing on what you can actually control.
Exactly. Worry and fear, they can weaken your immune system.
Seriously.
He thought so. It's like you're making yourself more likely to get sick. He's all about focusing on the positive, living healthy, getting medical help when you need it. But don't let fear run the show.
So it's a balance.
Definitely.
Did he talk about the fear of losing love?
He did. He said that everyone wants to feel connected, loved. It's human nature. But he said, don't hold on to relationships out of fear.
Yeah, if you're insecure or something.
Right. Healthy relationships, they're built on respect, trust, real affection, not fear.
Definitely. Makes sense.
Then there's the fear of getting old. Hill said it steals your vitality, your passion for life. He thought it comes from, what society tells us about getting older. It means you're declining, becoming irrelevant.
We have to challenge those ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every stage of life has something amazing to offer. You gain wisdom, experience. Hill wanted people to see aging as a good thing. Keep learning, keep growing.
I love that. So it's not an ending. It's just like another chapter.
Exactly.
And of course, there's the fear of death, the big one.
Right. The ultimate unknown. And Hill doesn't pretend to have all the answers. He just says, live your life to the fullest. Do what you love. Make a difference.
It's about accepting it and making the most of the time we have. So if we can understand these fears, face them, then we can break free.
I thought so.
But how do we actually put all this into practice?
Yeah.
How can we start thinking like those successful people right now?
Hill's got tips. He's big on auto-suggestion, choosing positive thoughts on purpose. He says, find your burning desire, define your goals, remember the mastermind, surround yourself with the right people. And we talked about persistence being key. Setbacks happen, but you keep going.
It's like this whole journey of self-improvement.
It is. Think and Grow Rich. It's like this guide to uncovering your potential.